The Diecast International Builders have invited the community to a Rat Rod Invitational, and TimeRider is hosting a Corvette February. I decided I wanted to try and enter both events with a single build. This Muscle Machine 63 Split Window Corvette that you see right there. Problem is, Corvette's a fiberglass bodied car. How do you rat rod it? There won't be any rust. So I did a little searching for images on the internet and came across this. And I thought, that's sufficiently ratty. Rat-ish. So this one obviously had the rear wheels stolen off of it for another build of mine. I think it was a bone shaker build where I threw the wheels on the back. And fortunately, I have a lot of these Muscle Machines castings, basically for that very reason. I want to strip the wheels off of them. I haven't customized one of these before. So since this thing has a real, kind of like cartoons magazine when I was a kid, the exaggerated cars, it has that look to it. That's what the Muscle Machines are. And so I thought, well, it's kind of rat-roddy, and it's a Corvette. So there wasn't a lot, I thought, for me to do. The problem was going to be to get the look right. The Muscle Machines have a lot of nice little chrome parts that are, they use melted tabs at the backs of the plastic to hold them in place. Anything that's not screwed in place, which I love about these castings, but there you see, you just nip those plastic ends off with the knife. And interestingly here, you see one's orange and one's black. They apparently use whatever plastic they have handy, and then they just chrome it. Well, I ended up having to Molotow over that one that you see there because it had orange plastic. It had an odd cast to it. When you really looked at it, it wasn't as good of a chrome as the other one. So stripped all the pieces off. I decided I was not going to strip this casting because I'm just trying to make it look like crap. So why strip off the paint? I can make that look like crap on my own. So I cleaned up the casting, as I usually do. This wasn't a very rough casting to start out with since it's finished. But I needed to sand off at this point a lot of the logos, that kind of thing, because I don't want those showing at this point. And a lot of them I'm not putting back. A lot of the logo kind of thing will not be reappearing. I hit it with white primer. And to get that original effect, if you remember that photo that I showed you earlier, it's just different shades of primer. So I thought, well, let me use the clay. I laid down the white primer first, just over the paint, that was there. Used the clay, like I've done in camo stuff. Put the clay down, then hit it with another color primer, with red primer. Put more clay on it. And here you see the primers, the Duplicolor red, white, and black primers. Those are what I used. And I ended up with this, for the final part, it's just a big clay blob because there weren't very many just black areas of the primer. So once I have that clump of clay done, I just start peeling this stuff off. And you're going to realize at this point, this does not look anything like a weathered primered paint job. And Lord knows it doesn't look like a camo paint job. It just looks goofy. What I did at this point is I dusted it with those two grays that you see there, light sea gray and gunship gray. Those are two enamels, the Model Masters enamels. The clear satin that you saw in that previous photograph, that once this was all sanded down and everything was the way I wanted it, then I hit it with the clear satin to kind of deaden the paint a little bit more. But this was basically the bulk of the work on the car, was sanding off both the gray layers, just lightening those up a little bit, and then sanding through, not completely obviously, the gray layers and the black layers to just get this kind of worn down, there are no crisp edges to the weathering, to that fading of the primers, just by that sanding. Once I had that where I wanted it, I just added some details, using the Tamiya clear paints, the clear red and the clear orange, do the tail lights, to do the turn signal indicators. And at that point, it's basically done. This isn't a very complex build. It was fun trying the clay approach for this weathered primer kind of look. I'm not sure. I mean, I could have masked and done it that way, but this seemed like a fun way to give it a shot. And now at this point, I just need to, I had chromed some of these pieces, re-chrome them with the Molotow pen. I did, you see that the side, runners on the side under the doors. I chromed those with the Molotow pen. Those are under my fingers there. Yeah, there you go. But I went over it with the flat clear even after doing the Molotow. So it deadened those a little as well. And I wanted the rest of the chrome shiny. So here I am just using, CA glue is what's in that little tin in case you missed me putting it in there. And I'm just using the toothpick to apply it on the spots on the inside of the casting to hold those in place. To take the place of where I had chopped off the little melted down plastic chunks. The engine, fortunately, screws back onto this casting just as easy as it was to unscrew and take it off. I didn't do anything fancy to the engine at all. I did end up Molotow chroming the back of the engine, back of the intake, because it had kind of a cloudy look to it. So I just wanted to clean that up a little bit. But again, this wasn't a very complex build. I think I achieved the look I wanted. I had to be careful. I couldn't let any bare metal when I had sanded it show through. And obviously when you're sanding, there are some spots where you can't avoid it. And what I did on those spots is I just took basically acrylic white paint, watered it down, really thinned it out, made like a white wash with it, and went over those very small areas with it to hide it. Because again, there shouldn't be any metal showing through that body. The glass, I just cleaned it up a little bit, didn't gauzy it or anything. Didn't gauzy it. But threw this back together. And again, this thing, was all screwed together to start off with. So I hope you like the looks of this. I hope you think I kind of got a rat-ish Corvette out of the deal. I'd like to thank the Diecast International Builders for hosting this event. I thought about doing a traditional rat rod, then I thought, no, I really want to do a Corvette. So what the heck? Lee, TimeRider's doing the Corvette February, so this will be one of my entries into that event as well. And you will see some shorts of other Corvettes I've built popping up during the month too. Previous builds that I'm going to recap. So you'll see them in less than a minute. There's where we started. It's a cool little car. Love the muscle machines. Back wheels being gone was not a big deal because I do have others. Here's where it ended up. I think it has kind of a cool weathered look to it. If I had to pick like my favorite spot of the weathering, it's probably that area on the roof that you see over here. I think I like this side of the car better than the other side. And it almost looks like a bruise by the back of the door there. When I was sanding it, I was also bringing out some of the trim to let it shine. So I hope you like this build. I had a lot of fun doing it. It wasn't the most complex thing on earth, but hey, they don't all have to be. So thanks for tuning into this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. Check out all of the other builds in the invitational and also TimeRider's parade of Corvettes he'll be doing. And special thanks to my Patreon members for all of their support. Everybody, stay safe and healthy out there. Have fun with these things. Check out all the other builds. And I'll catch you in the next one.